Hello everyone and welcome to FiST Chat, the vodcast that features discussions on the topics of film, science and technology. My name is Ben Warner and I'm joined once again by my good friend and colleague Steve Kern. How are we doing today, Steve? We're having a nice, good long weekend this weekend, aren't we?
We are indeed, an Australia Day weekend. Hello FiST Chat fans. I can assure you that this episode of FiST Chat is a hoax. Ben and I are actually on the moon right now.
Because it's much easier to go to the moon than to actually do this in a studio, isn't it?
That's right.
Absolutely. All right, well, before we get into that, just our usual housekeeping, don't forget our website, www.fistchat.com. You can get all our links there. You can subscribe to our audio via iTunes, RSS, and FeedBurner. You can get all of our videos, including this one, which will be uploaded later on YouTube, Vimeo, and Digicosm TV. Interact with us on our social media feeds, Twitter, Google+, and Facebook. I'd love to hear from you, and also check out our supplementary content, the weekly blogs, photography on Instagram and Flickr. And now our we'll launch into our poll, which we are now going to run hopefully every Thursday or Friday. So make sure you get in there and click away. We've also got it on our website too, so it's quite easy. Just click the answer that you want, and we want to know about these things because it's amusing. And the one that which leads into our topic today about whether the moon landing was a hoax or not. We ran a poll on Friday asking the question, was the original moon landing a hoax? And the answers were quite interesting. 15% of you said yes, 79% said no, and 6% said maybe. Which interesting variety of answers. I wasn't quite expecting. I was expecting maybe one or two to say yes, but it's a bit more than that. Unless you're just having fun with us, of course.
I think maybe the FiST Chat fans are having a bit of fun, Ben. Certainly, if you've watched the video that we pointed up, I don't think there's much doubt. They went to the moon. Absolutely.
There's a great video which we'll talk about now. It's called Moon Hoax Not, and it's done by. The only name I saw in there was Collins. We're assuming he's a DP because he knows a bit about photography and how to make films and all that sort of thing. Very well done, very well put together, and it's just a great little piece about how it was not actually technically possible for the NASA to stage the moon landing in the TV studio back in 1969. And he methodically goes through and explains why that's the case. I enjoyed this video, Steve. Thanks for sending it through. I gather you had a bit of a chuckle over it as well.
That's it. I think at Ben Sci Guy sent it through to me, and it is a very good video. I mean, it's everything FiST Chat's about. It's film, science, and technology. And the way Collins goes through it is he actually points out and points big holes in the conspiracy theorists' logic, and really takes us through, I guess, how much video has advanced. I mean, we now watch television in high definition, and I guess, as he points out, that it's very easy for people to forget that once upon a time video was very, very basic.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, anyone who remembers VHS would know that.
Yeah, exactly. We'll go through a couple of the points that he mentioned. We'll leave the Stanley Kubrick angle for our film news bite, which was hilarious. He started off by saying that movie special effects seem commonplace in retrospect, especially in today's day and age, because you can imagine if they tried to do that today, all the social media reporting aside, it would actually be very easy to fake the moon landing. But back then, it was very, it was impossible to do on video. And I think leading into that as well is the fact that video technology is at the core of why this isn't a hoax, because as he was explaining, he went through this whole thing about slow motion and the way it works, and essentially, in order to replicate that visual look that occurred in the telecast, it looked like it was in slow motion. And back then they did have a machine that could do it, but it could only do 30-second playbacks in slow-mo, and going at 10 frames per second, which is what the telecast was doing, which that means it would have been a maximum of 90 seconds. Whereas, as he pointed out, the original telecast went for over 2.5 hours. Yeah. So, that was just fascinating to watch anyway.
It was actually, Ben, and someone asked me, so, they didn't actually understand what the importance of the video, because they said, they still could have, just done it on film. But the thing is that it was because it was actually broadcast on TV, and the only way to broadcast on TV is to actually make a video. Yeah. So, you know, they either would have had to, as Collins points out, create this entire long film and then transfer it to video to do it. It was impossible. It was completely impossible. But his technological angle of the number of frames, it's well worth a watch if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the film angle is just fascinating in the sense that, yes, okay, you can go through all the steps, but the amount of things you would have to avoid and not make it show up so it doesn't look fake. Things like making sure there were no artifacts, no blemishes, no splices, no dust on the film. Any one of those things, even if it was just a speck, would have given it away as a hoax.
Yeah.
And I just love that line that he had where he was saying that you have to take it off to a lab somewhere to get processed and put into a huge big reel. And then all the lab technicians would have to die in a mysterious car accident so as to not give away the hoax. And it was just a really good thing to watch. Just as a piece of entertainment, it's worth watching as well. And just as a broader theme, I mean, we might have another different episode on this later about conspiracy theories in general. But he made the point at the end that this might just be. You know, as he was saying, if I was America, I would want you to be thinking about the moon landing being a hoax rather than thinking about the Patriot Act or the Iraq War or any other number of lower level conspiracies that they're actually perpetrating against the public. And it's interesting how that works. And he also had a bit of a psychological angle on it too about why people feel the need to believe in these things. That that was really fascinating as well.
Oh, it was incredible. I must say, you know, just to round this out, I once asked quite a well-known astronomer, about the moon hoax, and he said if it had been a hoax, the Russians would have been all over it. Oh. So I guess that pretty much sums it up. I mean, they've never said the Americans didn't go.
And of course, unless the Russians are in on it as well.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Alrighty. We might leap earlier into our news bites now, and we mentioned quickly the Stanley Kubrick angle in that Moon Hoax Not video. But we've also got a follow-up on Discovery News where the idea here is that Stanley Kubrick was hired as part of this conspiracy to film the fake moon landing because he did such a good job with 2001 that he'd be able to, make it all happen for real for the audience. Now, the great thing about this Discovery News article was that it didn't stop there, actually. It then goes on to say that he made The Shining in 1980 as a veiled confession on his part of this secret project. And the idea was that, everything that happens in The Shining is some sort of reflection on something about the conspiracy theory, which is just way out there.
Well, a lot of people, manage to do that. They take other stories and manage to find or spot references, for a perfect conspiracy theory. So I guess it's quite an interesting read, the bit on The Shining being Kubrick's admission and the fact that he's torn between guilt and, pride or whatever it is. But I just think it's a little bit too far-fetched,
look at a basic premise is that in the film, the protagonist, Jack Torrance, and his son, Danny, both represent different aspects of Kubrick, the pragmatist and the artistic visionary. Jack, Kubrick's practical side, makes a deal with the manager of the Overlook Hotel, America, to protect it through the coming winter, the Cold War. And he also points out that the Overlook, like America, is now garish and built on the bones of Indians.
Wow.
Is this a case of like a Nostradamus prophecy? We kind of look into it what way you want to look into it?
Well, that's right. It's about, the human tendency to spot patterns where there aren't patterns.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And that's, so there you go.
Absolutely. All right, we'll move on to our science news bite, and this is also from Discovery News, and we're sticking with the moon, or outer space, I should say. Well, I know the moon does feature in this story as well. In 2010, President Obama set a sky-high goal for NASA to send a team of astronauts to visit a near-Earth asteroid by 2025. But The idea, though, is that rather than going to all the effort of propelling humans that far into planetary space, why not just bring the asteroid here? You know, plop a 500-ton space rock into orbit around the moon. How did you find this one, Steve?
Sounds like a perfectly good idea, really, until it goes wrong.
Yep.
And it takes out New York.
And the rest of the Earth or something. I mean, at that size, would it that'd do some serious damage, wouldn't it, if it impacted the Earth?
It would actually. I can't remember what the site is, but I looked it up a number of years ago. There's actually a site which you can Google, and you can type in the size and the weight of the asteroid, and it'll tell you how much damage it'll do if it hit the Earth. I can't remember what the site is, but FiST Chat fans, if you want to Google it and try and find it, you can type in the size of this asteroid and see what it says. It'll give you anything from a mild or standard media impact right through to catastrophic level. So you can calculate these things.
Jeez, I'll create websites for anything these days, won't they? The other interesting thing in that story is that it wasn't a new idea. It's saying here in 1903, great Russian space visionary Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, I hope I got that right, described snagging asteroids in a publication entitled Exploration of the Cosmos by means of reaction motors. And it seems like today that it's becoming more technologically feasible to be able to do these things.
Well, it is possible. What they would do is they would, I guess, Bruce Willis style, they'd land on the asteroid, bolt on some solid jet rockets, and just blow it towards Earth. And then once it was underway in motion, they could capture it with the Earth's gravity, hopefully, or the moon's gravity.
Yeah.
And then I guess we'd start mining it out of space, and you'd probably not be bringing what was in the asteroid back to Earth. You'd probably be taking it to the moon, and then building yourself a little moon base.
Or maybe at some point in the future while we're on Earth and we've got this new asteroid orbiting in the heavens, we'll get that Luke Skywalker image of us looking up at the sky and seeing 2 moons instead of 1.
Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful?
Absolutely. And just finally, our tech news bite, sticking with the moon again. NASA beams Mona Lisa to moon with laser. Again from Discovery News. The ultimate in high art, using a well-timed laser, NASA scientists have beamed a picture of Leonardo da Vinci's masterpiece, the Mona Lisa, to a powerful spacecraft orbiting the moon, marking a first in laser communication. So is this the beginning of Skype to the moon or something, maybe?
I guess so. I guess, laser, I guess, is probably quicker than the coding and decoding of radio waves. So,
probably more precise as well, maybe?
Probably more precise, so they can actually send it directly to a location without having to go through relays. So that's quite exciting too. I mean...
but everything would have to be lined up exactly, wouldn't it, from an appropriate location?
I guess so, but they'd probably have some way of, automatically lining it up. And then away it goes. So it's very exciting. I mean, means that they're obviously setting up for communications between the Earth and the Moon.
Absolutely. So we're not that far away, you think? Maybe are we likely to see us blasting off to the moon in the future and establishing those colonies just like it was in 2001?
They do say 2020, and of course now, the Americans are trying to go back. The Chinese want to go. The Indians say that they're going to go, and you've got privateers that are trying to get up there as well. So maybe that's the new space race.
Absolutely. All right, Steve, we're out of time. So thanks again for the chat.
Anytime, tweet us, FiST Chat fans. Look out for our polls and let us always know what you think about film, science, and technology.
Absolutely. All right, so that's it for this week's episode. So we'll catch you next week.